Polish your crown and dust off your throne. It's time for another episode of Lane King. On this episode, we're looking at one of the most dominant laners in the LCS, Ssumday. Since coming to North America, he has been synonymous with smashing lane, which very nearly landed him first team All-Pro this split. In Week 7 of the LCS, 100 Thieves faced off against Immortals, and Ssumday was faced with Soaz picking Camille to answer his Aatrox. It's a scary matchup for Aatrox, as while it's very skill-based early on, Camille can easily outscale and dominate in a side lane if she manages to get ahead. Ssumday's really going to have to avoid the outer ring of tactical sweep, which gives Camille bonus % max health damage and heals her for that damage. He's going to have to make sure to not trade too heavily into Camille's passive physical damage shield, and also to watch out for Lee Sin ganks, as Camille sets up very well for her jungler, with both Hookshot and the Hextech Ultimatum. Ssumday leashes for Meteos, which gives Soaz the push early. He arrives to lane, looking for an early trade, and when he sees his opportunity, he steps forward, getting inside the outer ring of Camille's tactical sweep, then backing off as Soaz procs his passive, waiting for the shield to expire before going back in with his Q. The timing is key, as wasting damage into the passive shield will almost always result in lost early trades. As the wave stacks and pushes towards Ssumday, he keeps his Q off of cooldown to prepare for any potential Camille hookshot, as getting caught in front of a wave of that size would mean a huge loss of health and lane control. Always be thinking about your opponent's possible moves and your best response. He picks up the CS as it hits the turret, and Soaz looks for a potential 3-man play in the mid lane. Ssumday stacks and pushes the wave back towards Soaz, securing additional protection from the large minion wave and exploiting the fact that the enemy has no eyes on Gragas. Lee Sin is spotted across multiple wards moving to the top side and into the river brush. Based on that knowledge and Camille's aggressive movement to defend the cannon, Ssumday backs off and waits until Soaz is again playing defensively. This likely means Lee has recalled. Ssumday can go on the offensive. He shoves the wave, hitting multiple Q to E's to chunk out Soaz and force him to back up to farm at the turret. Meanwhile, bot side, Stun has taken this time to ward Gromp, as they're expecting Lee to head there after the topside recall, and they spot him. Ssumday fakes a warding move towards Tribrush, which keeps it hidden that they know where Lee Sin is. This might not seem like a big deal, but can be super important if your opponent thinks he has the security of you expecting a potential gank, while you know you're about to go hard in the paint. Ssumday is up 14 CS with 12 left for Soaz to collect, so it's up to him to deny as much of that as he can. For Aatrox, farm denial is all about anticipating where your opponent will move to farm the minions and pre-placing your Q there to force them into a lose-lose situation. Give up the farm and avoid the damage, or get hit by the Q and take free poke, well, probably still missing the farm anyway. Okay, yeah, one of those is probably worse. So maybe lose, really big lose? Anyway, Ssumday repositions for a good Infernal Chains angle. He lands it immediately into a Q knockup. This guarantees the pullback. So he holds onto his E, backs just out of turret range before setting up his Q2 into E combo to again hit Soaz with the sweet spot just as he's pulled back in. He's taken 2 turret shots, but the turret didn't get a chance to fully heat up, so he's at 657 health. Soaz, on the other hand, is down to 261 and is in a very dangerous spot. He can't safely farm, as he has to consider the possibility of an all-in. Q3 flash is available for Aatrox, and Ssumday could look for the kill. Ssumday dips in and out, threatening the Q3, and only uses his auto on Soaz when the passive is back up for the bonus range, dancing on the edge of turret aggro, where he weaves back out to avoid that turret shot immediately after autoing Soaz. He again hits another Q by lining it up with the minion, which the turret is shooting. With Soaz chunked low, Ssumday can even get a Demolish proc on the turret, which will pay off later with plates and an even bigger gold advantage. Ssumday again catches Soaz moving for a CS with his Q, and he's able to back out before the turret even hits him. He thinks he has an opportunity for a Q2 into E, but makes the mistake of not realizing no minions are going to be in tower range. Ssumday gets that tower aggro, allowing Soaz to hit the sweet spot of his W for the slow and look for a hook shot. Seeing Soaz fly in, Ssumday has to act quick. He barely makes it out of turret range and is able to buffer his Q3. This is going to continue through the hookshot stun, allowing him to knock up and damage Soaz, and he only has 17 health left. He's then able to auto Soaz as he flashes in to finish the job, and Infernal chains him before flashing out himself, barely surviving and letting the minions finish the job for a solo kill. Always knew we kept those minions around for something. The wave is now in a position to push back towards Ssumday, allowing him to base without worries of a freeze. But because he has the level advantage, a better buy, and Meteos in the area, he decides to match Soaz's teleport to keep up the pressure. He immediately goes at Soaz, trying to deny him access to the wave to prevent his level 6 and get the wave under the turret as quickly as possible. He drops a pink ward to cover Meteos, and a yellow to spot any path Lee Sin might take so he can keep playing aggressively at the turret and threaten a potential dive. Utilizing his Qs to zone Soaz from range minions, he continues to poke away at his opponent. After another round of trading, Soaz gets chunked fairly low and knows there's potential for a dive, so he decides to recall. But without teleport, he's gonna lose minions as Ssumday has been shoving non-stop. As he arrives back, Aatrox hits level 8 and he is only level 6. This is a huge advantage that Ssumday immediately makes the most of, hitting Infernal Chains into a Q and forcing out the hookshot from Soaz, then threatening a Q2 to bait out the tactical sweep as Meteos closes in for the dive, passing the pink ward that Ssumday placed earlier. They know Soaz has no flash, hookshot, or W, only his ultimate to become untargetable and dodge CC. Knowing this, they walk into tower range, but neither one will attack Soaz to delay turret aggro until they can get out his ultimate. Soaz has a well-timed ultimate to dodge Meteos' body slam, but Meteos has a Q waiting on the ground to pull turret aggro and allow Ssumday to clean up the kill. A beautifully played dive. At this point, Ssumday is up 30 CS and 3 solo plates. To make matters worse, Meteos drops the Herald for him, giving him solo turret gold. He resets with a whopping 2,740 gold. He's able to buy a full black cleaver. Ssumday built this lane kingdom with relentless aggression and no fear around the enemy turret, managing turret aggro range incredibly well and punishing Soaz for his greed. Soaz misread the all-in and barely lost out, but his bigger mistake was taking too much damage while reaching for extra CS. He needed to be more willing to give up farm to stay healthy and collect more experience overall and probably more farm. It was a great punish from Ssumday, who again showed why he is one of the most dominant laners in the LCS. Remember to follow me at Azael on Twitter and let me know who you want to see next time.